This is the time of reflection, of changing seasons, and remembering the dead. All Hallows Eve, All Souls Day, All Saints Day, Halloween, Dia de los Muertos, Remembrance Day. For some Catholic churches, the celebration doesn't stop after one day. October 31st begins a multi-day observation and celebration of All Hallowtide, which is a combination of Halloween, All Saints Day, and All Souls Day. And until I researched this, I hadn't heard of All Hallowtide, but it was established by Pope Sixtus IV in 1430 for all the Western Church. Now, also a number of East and Southeast Asian cultures celebrate a festival around the harvest moon, late September, early October. And that is among their most important holidays. Personally, I had my first Chinese moon cake in 2009 in San Francisco, and it continues to be a favorite treat of mine. Now, why do so many cultures have rituals and celebrations around this time of year? Why do most of them reflect on our mortality and a connection to the divine? Is this a coincidence? Or can it be that the diversity of cultures all move to follow our deeply innate, ancient, human synchronicity with the yearly seasonal cycles? Can it be that as the seasons change toward winter, we are reminded of our own mortality? Is this a season of deep reflection based in our DNA? This is the season of endings, with a nod toward rebirth and a new beginning. This is the season of remembering that those we loved and who have died, and remembering that we someday too shall die. The fact of dying must be a major factor in our understanding of life. Both life and death are aspects of a greater mystery, the mystery of being, the mystery of creation. Over and above the preciousness of our particular existence stands the marvel of us just being here, related to the infinite mystery of creation. But we face a dilemma of being alive. We know that we are alive, and most of us are trying to lead a meaningful life. We also know, though we don't acknowledge it all that often, we also know that this physical existence will end. Everyone here is going to die, I'm pretty sure. Naming this dilemma doesn't have to be a morbid, depressing thought. Acknowledging that life has limit can be a celebration like Halloween. I believe that death is a way of understanding life, and life is a way of understanding death. But the focus of this season and the celebrations is not about your mortality. This is a season for remembering those others that have passed, those loved ones or friends whom we remember, even though they are no longer physically present. Our remembering is not limited to acknowledging our losses, but this season can be a celebration of our gains, what we learned from those who are departed. What can the dead teach us? What can your loss of physical connection to a loved one teach you? David Brooks says a couple of years ago, he wrote this article, and there's two sets of virtues. There's the resume virtues and the eulogy virtues. The resume virtues are the skills that you take to the marketplace, education, training, experience. The eulogy virtues are the ones that are talked about at your funeral. Whether you were kind, brave, honest, faithful, were you capable of deep love? Eulogy. Now, we all know that eulogy virtues are more important than resume virtues. But our culture and our educational system spend more time teaching the skills and strategies you need for a career success than the qualities you need to radiate an inner light. Most of us are more clear on how to build an external career than internal character. What can the dead teach us? Our best lessons are what we can learn from them about eulogy virtues. Of the people you've known and loved, what did they teach you? What are they still teaching you? This is an ancient season of remembering. Is it a sad time of year? Yes. Is it an inspiring time of year? It can be. If we lean into the lessons that the dead can still teach us by remembering them, let us think about how they inspired us, how they guided us, how they were imperfect but still worthy, how they made mistakes but did the best that they knew how. What can the dead teach us? They can teach us how to lead a meaningful life of purpose. Remember them. Listen to them. Amen. Blessed be.
This Samhain season is one of the most beautiful and obvious qualities of autumn, is when the leaves of deciduous trees turn from green to yellow to orange to bright red. There's such a boldness in this change, such a dramatic expression. It's like the tree is saying, "Hey, look at me. I'm letting it all go with this fantastic show." They are gloriously leading the way, showing us the beauty of change, the shifting of this to that, the transition from what once was to what can possibly be. Let these things move on for a future other purpose. Evergreen trees let go of their needles and leaves too, but they're just not as showy. Then around the base of the tree, all these leaves have fallen. Eventually they lose their moisture and become brittle. They become mulch. They decompose and release their nutrients into the soil, which feeds the tree for the next spring's growth. This cycle is self-sustaining and ongoing and ever beautiful. One of my absolute favorite Unitarian Universalist ministers is the Reverend Meg Barnhouse. She has written several of these little books with perfect little anecdotal stories that I read before I go to bed. I have read all of her books several times, and I never tire of them. One story is called The Green After, where she shares that she's camping with friends, and she's sitting in a hammock looking up through the leaves of the tree to the blue sky, and the sun is shining through it, and it looks like stained glass. She writes, "When I die, I want to have my ashes buried under this tree so that one spring after another, my body can be a part of this particular green. I can imagine my life flowing through the cells of the leaves, feel the leaf opening to the warmth and light, and feel myself be a part of that green. If this is my afterlife, I will be deeply happy." A few weeks ago, I officiated a celebration of life for a woman who was a former member here at this fellowship. While planning the service with her son, he shared with me something that I want to share with you. It is a forest in the Santa Cruz Los Gatos Mountains called Better Place Forest. And there are several more around California and a few scattered across the country. He said that his mother found out about a Better Place Forest, and with the help of her friends, she went and actually chose her own tree. This is where her family could put her cremains, which is a little conflation of the word cremated, remains, into the forest, to mix the ash with soil and ceremoniously place this mixture at the base of the tree, continuing the life of the forest and to be a part of that green. The following week after the celebration, I sent an email asking her son how this experience was, and he replied, "The host of the ceremony took our party to a table under a large tree, and we mixed my mom's ash with soil taken from the forest. Everyone was invited to participate. Then we took her to the tree and placed her ashes under and around the tree. The host read a few poems that we had chosen, and I read some too. Then we spread wildflower seeds around the tree. The host stepped away, and we had ample time to sit together. Then we walked around the forest. It is a beautiful space." A part of this ceremony is to place a custom engraved marker, like a round bronze disc, with our beloved's name, their birth and death date, and a quotation that speaks of their life and love. And this is placed at the base of the tree, which signals the special place while still respecting the natural aesthetic of the forest. And family and friends can visit there. And just as another ceremonial plot, their beloved family members in the future or their pets can also have their cremains scattered around that tree. I think Meg Barnhouse would really appreciate this practice, and so I'm going to send her a message on Facebook and tell her all about it. This is one way, one approach to attend to our inevitable death. And I think it is a very life-affirming way to let our bodies become that particular green, to let go of what was once useful and let it nourish the next generation. I want to finish with the eternal wisdom of Khalil Gibran from his book, The Prophet. "For what is it to die but stand naked in the wind and melt into the sun? And what is it to cease breathing but to free the breath from its restless tides, that it may rise and expand and seek the divine unencumbered? Only when you drink from the river of silence shall you indeed sing. And when you reach the mountaintop, then you shall begin to climb. And when the earth claims your limbs, then you shall truly dance. The glorious deciduous trees show us this dance. May we follow their lead. Let go of what has been finished. Prepare the soil for what is to come. Be a part of the nutrients for the future, and plant wildflower seeds. Blessed be.